I've been using the 70mm Dashcam Pro now for about 6 months, and I thought I'd just make a quick video describing how I felt about it after half a year's usage. I've been using it every day and I've got to know it quite well. I'm going to divide the video into good, bad and indifferent. There's nothing I can really describe as ugly, but some of the bad points do get quite close to ugly. But I'm going to start off with the good things. And first I need to explain why I bought the Dashcam in the first place. I live in a country that has appalling driving standards. I made a video recently, and laws don't tend to be enforced, so drivers do what they want. Red lights are optional, and if a driver wants to drive along the emergency lane in the wrong direction, they can do that and nothing's going to happen. And what exacerbates the problem is that there's also a culture of not losing face and not accepting responsibility. So if a driver does something that causes a problem, they won't admit their guilt. It's very common to read about accidents and it says the driver fled the scene. Their first instinct is to just run away. If they do get caught, they will often lie about what happens to save face. It's very common to hear a driver claim that his brakes failed, or that the road was slippery because of rain, or it was someone else's fault. It's never actually his fault. So it's very important to have a way to recall what actually happens. So that's why I got the Dashcam. And what I needed was something that had good image quality, which this has got, something that was reliable, which it is. You don't want the camera going wrong just when you need it, and I've been using it every day and there hasn't been a single issue. And I also like the file management system and the voice control. When you're making normal videos, the videos just get overwritten all the time. If something happens that you want to keep, you don't want it to be overwritten. So with this, all you need to do when something happens is say record video. You don't need to take your eyes off the road, you don't need to look for buttons. That voice control works and it will move that particular video into another folder. It will also increase the video length by 30 seconds. And where it moves it to is quite safe, and it won't get overwritten unless you make hundreds of emergency videos. So the basic functions of the camera are all that I want. I don't want any more, and it works really well. And I've been very pleased with those particular aspects. They're the good points. Now I'll talk about some of the indifferent features, and what I mean by that is that if they weren't there, it really wouldn't bother me. Firstly, there's the parking surveillance. Quite a few people seem interested, but the reason I don't use it is because it only records where the camera is pointing towards the front of the car. And all the dings and dents I've received in car parks have happened at the side or the back, so they won't be recorded. And secondly, even if I did get video evidence of someone damaging my car in a car park, I don't think the police or my insurance company would be interested, so it's a bit of a waste of time. The other feature is what's known as ADAS. This is the Advanced Driver Assistance System. When I bought the camera, there was a GPS option. And I found out later that it didn't actually give any GPS coordinates or speed. It just enables this ADAS system. And it consists of 3 things. If you're driving along and you change lane, it tells you there's been a lane departure. If you get too close to a car in front, it will warn you that there's a car in front and a possible collision. And when you're waiting in traffic and the car in front of you takes off, it tells you that the car has moved. And I don't find those 3 things particularly useful. I've been driving over 40 years and I know this stuff anyway. So they're the features that the camera has, but I don't find particularly useful. The thing I've had most problems with is firmware updates. It's great with electronic devices these days that you've got hardware and firmware. So without needing to change your hardware, you can just update the firmware and get more functionality. And you can do that with the 70mm Pro. It started off quite well, but just recently I've had lots of problems. I mentioned before that the GPS module, when I first got it, did nothing apart from enabling ADAS, which wasn't that useful. With firmware update 1.0.5 NA, they made a change so that the GPS coordinates and the speed could be seen when viewing videos on the dash cam. It wasn't actually that useful. If I'd been in an accident and the other driver said I was speeding, and I wasn't speeding, I wanted to prove that I wasn't speeding, it wouldn't have been convenient to say to my insurance company, look at the back of my dash cam. What I really wanted was that information on the video. But despite that, the firmware update process worked very well. I just updated the app on my phone, connected my phone to the dash cam via the Wi-Fi hotspot, and then pushed the firmware update to the dash cam, and that all worked very, very well. However, since then I've had lots of problems. The first problem was that one day I was unable to update the app on my phone, and when I looked into it a bit further, it was because the app wasn't compatible with my iPhone 5 that I've been using. Up to that point it had been compatible, but then suddenly it wasn't. So I borrowed my wife's iPhone 6, downloaded the app, tried to do a firmware update to the dash cam, and it wouldn't let me. It just said I'd already got the latest version of firmware. So I thought it might be a problem with the iOS app, so I went out and bought an Android phone, did the same thing, and it still told me that I had the latest version of firmware. Yeah, at the same time I was getting comments on my videos, and I was also getting emails from 70mi saying we've added this feature and this feature and this feature, but whenever I tried to download the latest app and do a firmware update, it said I'd already got the latest firmware version. My phone app went from 1.2.0 to 1.3.0 to 1.3.2, but whenever I tried to do a firmware update to the dash cam, it told me I already had the latest firmware version, which was quite frustrating. That was until a few days ago, when I got into some correspondence with someone who had watched one of my videos, and he told me there was a new phone app and a new firmware version. And I was able to download the new app, which is version 1.4.0, and I was able to do the firmware update. So on my dash cam now I've got 1.0.6 NA. And one of the things he told me was that with this version you now get the speed and GPS coordinates on the downloaded video, which is just what I wanted. So I took a quick look at the new firmware version. I noticed a few differences. One difference is that you can now turn off the logo watermark, which you couldn't do before. So on every video before you had the orange 70mi logo. Now you can turn that off. And something else you can change is the recording duration. Before every video was 1 minute. Now you can change it to 1 minute, 2 minutes or 3 minutes. That looked really good, but when I went out to get some test footage to hopefully see the speed and coordinates on the video, there was nothing. So I don't know why he can see that information with 1.0.6 NA and I can't. This is what makes the whole firmware update process quite frustrating. This is the smartphone app connected to the dash cam via the Wi-Fi hotspot. If we go into About, you can see that I'm now on version 1.0.6 NA. And the only two things I've noticed that are different are the logo watermark and the recording duration. There may be some other changes, but I haven't noticed them. So you can turn the logo watermark on or off. I've got it off. I can't really see any purpose having it on unless you're giving 70mi some advertising. And the recording duration. Previously, every video was 1 minute long, unless it was an emergency video, which gave you an additional 30 seconds. Now you can choose 1 minute, 2 minutes or 3 minutes. I've just got it set to 2 minutes. With the recording duration, you can change it through the app or on the dash cam. With the logo watermark, you can only turn it on and off through the app. This is some footage taken with firmware version 1.0.5 NA, and you can see the 70mi logo in the top left, and previously you couldn't turn this logo off. And here's some footage taken with firmware version 1.0.6 NA, and you will notice that the logo has now gone in the top left corner. Unfortunately, with this version of firmware, I should be able to see the speed and GPS coordinates on the video, but unfortunately I can't, and I don't know why I can't, yet someone else can who's using the same firmware version. One of the reasons, I suspect, is that 70mi now have so many products. When I was getting emails from 70mi saying that they've added this feature and this feature, and I couldn't do any firmware updates, when I looked a bit closer, it's because those updates are only available for the 70mi Smart Dashcam 1S, the 70mi Mini Dashcam, and the 70mi Dashcam Lite, not the Dashcam Pro. And now they seem to have the following list of products. There's the 70mi Smart Dashcam, which is this one, the 70mi Smart Dashcam 1S, the 70mi Smart Dashcam Pro, the 70mi Mini Dashcam, the 70mi Dashcam Lite, the 70mi Rear View Mirror Dashcam, the 70mi Tyre Pressure Monitor, the 70mi Air Purifier, and the 70mi Air Purifier Pro. And there's just one app for all of those products. And I think it's just got a little bit too complicated, and it's screwed up the firmware update process. So I'd like to see that simplified, and I'd like to see the whole process working a lot better. My situation now is that I believe I have the latest version of firmware, 1.0.6 NA, and despite being able to turn off the 70mi logo and change the video duration, I still can't see the GPS coordinates and the speed on the downloaded video, which is the thing that I really want. So that's quite frustrating. To summarise, if you're just looking for a good basic dash cam, it's still a model that I recommend highly. The image quality is good, reliability is good, the basic functionality is good, and it sells at a great price. I'm going to get one for my wife, and I've been looking at prices recently, and they've dropped since I bought this one. So it's quite a bargain. If you're the type of person who likes gadgets and gizmos, it may not meet your needs. Regarding the parking surveillance, I've had some inquiries whether it can detect motion. It can't. It has a G-sensor inside, and it records a video when there's been physical impact. It can't actually detect motion. Now apparently a few other dash cams can. So if you're just looking for something that's really basic and reliable and high quality, good price, I recommend it. If you want a lot more than that, you're probably going to be better off buying something else. I hope this has been useful, and if it has, please consider subscribing to my channel. My videos get quite a few views, but because of the emphasis that YouTube places on subscribers, I need quite a few more subscribers. So thanks for watching.